All right,
Nah, 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 no. Yeah. Oh, I can't let him take my soul. Nah, 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 no. Yeah. I can't let him take my soul. Nah, 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 no. Oh, I can't let him take my soul. Nah, 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 no. See, we was cool right before it hit the fence. But it hit the fan when I got him down at the bench. But I took a break, I had to leave and go get cleansed. God forgive me for all my sins. I can't say these hoes, cause my last name ain't Kent. Cooking on the stove, that's the way he paid the rent. Working on the pole, that's the way she pays tuition. Better watch your soul, cause you know they trying to get it. Yeah, yeah. I learned my right from wrong on the song. I let my heart bleed on my sleeve through microphones. I'm trying to right my wrongs by writing out my wrongs. Ran through a check, cause it's hard to live off bread alone. So if you see me slipping, yeah, let me know. Cause it ain't the end of times yet, I know, but it's getting close. Yeah, I need my space to breathe.
this is Pastor Jermaine Oliver, pastor of Brampton Baptist Church. And we're here today, we're discussing gun violence. Gun violence, and this is what I think. I'm thinking about, my son got killed with gun violence in Kingdom Home Projects about 2 years ago. And ever since then, I dedicated a great part of my life into trying to resolve the issues of gun violence and gun prevention. And I've been doing studies throughout the world, not only right here in Savannah, Georgia, but different cities and different states that have taken bites at this crime through gun prevention. And what can we do to prevent gun violence? I know that it's going to take a village. It's going to take several different ways. There's no one way to resolve gun violence, but if we all put, something in the pot and come together, I believe we can slow it down and maybe perhaps stop it. Uh, one of the things that I learned today was to listen to the young people from all races, all classes, all sexualities. It's the same thing going on in Florida, Baltimore, Philadelphia, all throughout the country. And we are unifying to speak truth to power. By unifying, first we need to recognize that it is a problem of gun violence, and we have renewed hope that together we can prevent gun violence, not just in the case of mass shootings, but also in the case of domestic violence, suicide, community violence, and violence involving law enforcement. We first developed this list after the Sandy Hook tragedy in 2012. The public health approach has evolved since then. It's more action, more things getting involved, more people are getting involved and try to solve gun violence because it's hitting home more and more. Not only that we are killing each other as a race, but it's killing is going on all around, especially the mass shooting. Here recently in Atlanta, Georgia, we had a mass shooting of a young teenager who was angry and came in and just started shooting. This has to stop. Right now, the U.S. firearm injuries are at an epidemic high. Statistically, 270 people are getting killed in a day. That's over 40,000 die each year since 2017 from firearms. Gun violence has caused the economy annually also $229 billion. One of my points that I want to point out is no one single policy is going to solve it all. However, the village approach would do a great job. That's all us working together collectively, bringing our ideas, supporting one another, and walking in unity. And we must listen to our youth because our youth are living it out there phenomenal and they have some great ideas, some great ways to stop this violence. But we have to work together. Instead of talking to them, we need to talk with them and unify. Everybody get a unified effort to stop gun violence. So today we are going to have a discussion on policies that we believe work. I've been doing a lot of research for different cities, different states, and seeing what they were doing to stop gun violence and what have been since they've made these preventive efforts. What have to statistically be after that? First, one thing that we need to do when you're going to purchase a gun, our foundation should be to have a universal background checks and the core policy important to build on a solid foundation. You know, to do the research and do a background on a person or individual to come and buy a weapon. This is an action to inform our legislator and also enable them to take action. There's several preventive ways that we can prevent the use of and the buy of firearms. In Connecticut and in Indiana, they have a ERPO order, and that is the Extreme Risk Protective Orders. And I see the risk of gun violence as a puzzle. And one of the valuable pieces to solve this puzzle is how can we prevent someone from seriously hurting themselves or someone else after purchasing a weapon. So the ERPO is Extreme Risk Protection Order. It's some things that are already in effect that you would not do something violently, even though you have a clean criminal history. Just think about Uncle Floyd, who's a retired military vet, going through a lot in his mind. Everybody done left him. He's in a place in his mind where he's still in Vietnam, and he decides to get a gun and blow his head off. No way in the world you could have looked back at his history and said, hey, look, we don't need to serve him a gun. We don't need to sell him a gun. So accidents do happen. But there should be something in place where a family member could see this behavior happening and be allowed to call the authorities to come and maybe take this person's gun, take these person's weapon away from them to prevent them from even hurting themselves or hurting others. And that is exactly what an ERPO does. It allows family members to seek ERPO from a court to remove firearms from a relative who may be at high risk or harm themselves or others. So the ERP works like this. It's for a limited time. It gives you the opportunity for the person or person to think, and it's not a criminal crime when they come and they receive the guns from because the person is licensed to carry. They just because they hold up, you need a minute to think about your actions. You've been having some strange behavior going on lately, and others had noticed it and called us to come and kind of help you out. So they come in your home, they take your weapons away, and it's for a limited time, but within 2 weeks, you'll get a court date. And when that court date comes, you're allowed to go in and explain your situation, explain what you're going through, and the family or whoever called are allowed to have a statement at that time of how they managing you or how they see or observing you, what type of behaviors that you have that make them think that you may be at risk of hurting yourself or harming others. So it's a win-win situation. And if you cooperate with this when it happens, you can maybe leave out in a better place, in a better position, and no one life will be taken, no violence will have been taking place, and we all could live and talk about it and see another day. And maybe you could think things over and say, you know what, I really didn't want to do that way anyway, because most crimes happen in the heat of the moment. So if you get that moment just to, just digress, think about it, and think twice, then you could change the direction in which you may go. Now let's go back to 2013, the Sandy Hook shooting. There are only two states that have these laws in place, and that's Indiana and Connecticut. Reason for risk concern is 61% murders come from suicide, 32% homicide. Alcohol and drug intoxication is 30%, and acute mental illness or dementia is 17%. But ERPO laws is a law where people are projecting a behavior on what they are likely to do. This is a behavior orientated intervention and mental illness. I know in the beginning I spoke about me losing my son to gun violence. That was a horror situation for my family. But also, this was in broad daylight where the shooting occurred, where kids was involved. Kids was, witnesses. They was there in action all around when this here happened. But now these kids have to deal with that mental illness, that mental health, that mental just knowing that, hey, I just witnessed a shooting. Someone, a person, a human being getting gunned down right before me. So this kind of hurt them for the rest of their life. This is something they got to think about. This is something that they got to have on them for the rest of their lives. So that's my reason for doing these studies. That's my reason for working with the authorities about preventing gun violence and trying to come up to a solution to this problem, because this problem is everlasting. It's going on and on. It's getting worse. So we all have to work together to make this come to a pass. So my summary of recommendation, this is what I think. I think gun safety reduce the imminent risk of lethal of leading through sensible gun laws and a culture of safety. Sensible gun laws reduce easy access to dangerous weapons. It's so it before I can say about 10 years ago, it was so easy. You can go somewhere and purchase a gun at a gun show or maybe pawn shop or whatever, and it was just easy to go get a weapon and come and you take the whole block out. So I think sensible gun laws will reduce reduce some of the gun violence if you can stop the easy access to dangerous guns. Establish a culture of gun safety. We have to teach, especially our youth, our kids, teach about gun violence and gun use. Because if we just we have access to guns and they go out and just use guns. It should be a way we should teach our kids the proper use of a gun and what a gun is really for. Reduce firearm access to youth and individuals who are at risk of harming themselves or others. Hold the gun industry accountable and ensure there's adequate oversight over the marketing and sales of guns and ammunition. So we need to hold the ones who are selling these guns to our kids more accountable, more stiffen the laws on them. Not just let them just go and run free and say, hey, I ran a gun check. I ran a background check. The background came out good. So I sold them a gun. There was a legal age, so I sold them a gun. So it should be some kind of course that you take, about gun safety when you're going to buy a gun before you even purchase it. It should be stiffer. And it should be stiffer on the requirements that's coming for these manufacturers on purchasing guns. Engage responsibility gun dealers and owners in solution. And also, these laws shouldn't be just slap a hand on the wrist. They should be we really hold accountable, we really hold their feet to the fire and say you're responsible, and we're gonna hold your feet to the fire, and it's gonna be a high price that you're gonna have to pay, whether it's through monetary or through freedom. Insist on mandatory training and licensing for owners. There it is. That's the ticket. Give them knowledge. I'm a pastor, and there's a scripture say our people should perish because of lack of knowledge. If you get them knowledge on guns and give a good training on what guns can do and how to use guns, maybe we can have a better way of our where we store our guns, because a lot of the weapons that were found on last year here in Savannah, Georgia, majority of them, it says that 85% were stolen from guns. It said that 75% of cars that have been broken in the downtown area, guns were stolen. Weapons were stolen outside of the car. So we should be more stiffer on gun owners also, to make sure that they're required to store their weapons in a safe place instead of a place where there's easy access if someone's to enter their auto. Require safe and secure gun storage. We just talked about it. There should be much, much stiffer laws from gun owners that are just, leaving their guns in clear sight or maybe under the seat or have easy access. Most cars now have secret compartments where you can lock guns away safely. And I think that's great. Underlying contributors to gun violence, systematically reduce risk and increase resilience in individual families and communities. It's like a residual arrest, like the same people getting arrested over and over again dealing with gun violence. It's like the same thing that happened in our communities where as soon as something come up, then you hear bang, bang, bang. Everybody want to shoot everybody up. It should be a resolve before we get to the gun violence area. I think it's if we come together and work with our local legislators to change these laws, I think that'd be a step in the right direction. Comprehensive solutions. Support community planning and implement of comprehensive community safety plans that include prevention and intervention. Well, I've been talking for a little while now, but now we're going to have to go to a commercial break. And after commercial break, we're going to dive right back in it, and we're going to get deeper and deeper into this prevention of laws and prevention of gun violence. I'll be here when you get back.
Hey there.
Are you ready to amplify your voice and embrace your passion? Tune in to Our Black Media Network, where community comes first and every story matters. We're here 24/7, delivering powerful content on everything from financial literacy to the latest in sports and mental health. We are unapologetically real, reflecting the heartbeat of our community with programs that inspire, empower, and drive change. Join us on all major media platforms to celebrate our unique voices and advocate for the change we want to see. With over 50K monthly viewers, our network is your go-to destination for authentic, engaging content. Be a part of the movement. Be a part of the change. Tune in to Our Black Media Network today and let your voice be heard.
Back again. Trauma. We're talking about prevention of gun violence and what I think about it. What I think is the solution. I think the solution is to stop. One uh, is trauma. It causes trauma when you're in the neighborhood and uh, there's a lot of gun violence and stuff going on in the neighborhood. We got to think about our community. We got to think about our youth that are seeing this type of behavior go home, and you got to think that it brings emotional hurt and mental health. Mental health and this they're messed up socially. That their way of thinking has just been discarded because of something that they witnessed in the neighborhood, their home place where our kids depend on the neighborhood to embrace them and show them love and show them the way to go. I remember back when I was growing up, we had a village. Our village was so tight that if we was doing something on 2 or 3 streets over from where we stayed at, that by the time we get home, our parents knew, and we knew that we had to. We would see the person, the adult that saw us doing wrong, and when we get home, we had to get right with our mother, our father, also, who would get back on us. We need to go back to that old village. That village, it helped out. That village is what we were built on. That village would carry us to the next. But right now, our main thing now is the epidemic of gun violence. Violence in our neighborhood. There's got to be another solution besides violence before we get to it. There's got to be another way where we can talk things out, where we can work together, where we can, come up to some kind of solution to the problem instead of just violence. We resort to violence. Resorting to violence, after you resort to violence, you don't live to see another day. There's no more talking after violence come in. And you got to think about not only yourself, but think about the ones that are around you. Think about the mental health of ones that are around you. Now you got a child who think it's ordinary, think that it's necessary to carry a gun. Not only carry a gun, if somebody or something come up where they can't handle it or they feel like they're threatened, well, they're going to use this gun to protect themselves. And that's not good. There's got to be another infrastructure that we could use. Support gun violence research. I support it 100%. I think that's what we need to do. We need to start uh, teaching our kids about preventing gun violence and what it takes. What once gun violence had come into play. Health system. Establish a comprehensive health system in which violence prevention is a health system responsibility and imperative. What that means is, hey, look, we go talk about this. We go come up with other solutions. There's other ways to solve, there's other ways of a resolve that you can do besides going to gun violence. You know, so since this has happened to me personally, and that my son has been killed through gun violence, I have dedicated a great big of my life into preventing this from happening to any other families. And that's the worst call that you can get as a parent, is that your child has been shot down or gunned down. So it takes healing, a lot of community healing to prevent community trauma. The whole community is affected by this. You don't only affect yourself or affect the victim, but you affect the whole victim by this, where everybody now is scared and paranoid about what's going to happen in their neighborhood. And I think this could really be prevented if we go and educate the kids in the community that, hey, look, gun violence is really not the way. Violence is not the way. It's another resolve that you can get to before you get to the violence. And we want, once murder and stuff come in the neighborhood, we always scream mental health. Well, we can be going through mental health before that even get there. But the thing about it is, there's other resolves now, like knowledge. We can feed knowledge one to another. Iron sharpens iron, so we can tell each other about experiences, tell about other things about what we see or what we have seen to prevent this from keep going on over and over in our community. The thing is, we need to change the minds of our youth. Because when you change your mind, that's the most powerful change you can make is the change of a mind. Change the mindset. Get the mindset of violence out of the neighborhood. Get the mindset of, you know what, it's more that we can do. We can go play basketball, we can go play football, or anything we want to do to get this out of us, but violence is not the way. Because violence, I won't be able to see you next week. Because violence is no, I'm sorry. It's violence is bye bye. I'm not gonna see you again. So we need to support healthy norms about uh, the neighborhood, explore the pathways between gun violence and harmful norms that have been about maintaining power and privilege. Most of the time it's egoistic when you are pulling a gun to shoot somebody violent. It's about an ego thing. And we got to get out of that. My ego is bigger than your ego. It's the way of thinking. It's the mindset. There you go, that word again, mindset. The mindset is, you know what, no weapon formed of me against me shall prosper anyway. By his stripes I am healed. This is the mindset that we ought to have on our kids, a mindset that we should have in the neighborhood that, you know what, we are together over here, and whatever problems that we have, we can talk it out. We can work these things out. It don't have to get the gun violence over where I stay at, because we got to understand that we want to be here to build each other. We got this old slave man mentality, crab in the basket mentality, where we try to pull each other back down. It don't have to pull you down if we working together. If we working together to come out of where we at, or we working together to have a brighter future, we working together for our kids to not even have to go through the struggle that we are going through, then this to be understand we ain't got time for violence. Our time and everything is dedicating on bettering ourselves. So we got to get out of that. We can't blame it on the other man saying we are oppressed no more, because we're coming out of all, we are out of all of that. We got more things, and our kids have more ways of building, more ways of going to the next level than just looking over and trying to pull each other down, but working together. When you work together, you can accomplish some things together, and it'll be for the betterment of the neighborhood, not only for the neighborhood but for your family. Law enforcement violence. One of the great things that I could brag about in my city, Savannah, Georgia, that, in the past we had some problems when it was against the law enforcement, against some of these neighborhoods or against certain individual. But in recent years, law enforcement had come in and they're making every effort to be in the community, not only come and arrest our parents or arrest our heroes in the neighborhood, but they coming to build. They're showing more community efforts, more community relations in the neighborhood, showing more involvement. So it don't be that separate or that resolve where, you know what, I'm afraid of this culture, so I gotta be over aggressive, and for gun violence and everything coming out, you done lost on both sides. No. In Savannah, Georgia, they have come up with a solution about community resource officers, and the community resources officers are in the neighborhoods on their feet, and they're building relationships. They let them know that the law enforcement is really here to serve you and protect you. So that's a great resolve that has been taking place here in Savannah, Georgia. Full recommendations for preventing gun violence and gun safety. Part of a public health approach to gun violence is about preventing the imminent risk of lethal through sensible gun laws and a culture of safety. Sensible gun laws reduce easy access to dangerous weapons. Now, what do our kids need with an AK-24, AK-47? Our kids don't need that. Uh, our kids, to protect yourself, we don't need that. At any cost, when any purpose in the world now, if you're going to get an AK-47, then you got bad intentions. So these weapons should be really off limits to a group of people. These weapons should be to, really in the army. When you're thinking about taking a whole block out, AK-47, there's no animal you can shoot that you'll want to eat after you shoot them with an AK-47. So it's just we should be more stronger at what we sell to our kids. We're strong what we sell to individuals that are going through. It should be mental classes. It should be classes of, hey, what do you need? Someone should be able to say, hey, what do you need with this type of weapon? We got to show some kind of responsibility, not only on buying these weapons, but also selling these weapons. It got to be a different form of responsibility, a higher level of responsibility, a higher level of also penalties when these weapons are sold and these questions are not asked, or this course is not taken. You know, you don't want to find out after, the kid, or the young adult done went and killed up 20 or 30 people at the school, that hey, it was a mental health situation. You don't want to find it after. So we stop and we jump in front of this right here at the beginning, and we don't have to worry about getting it at the end. And we should do this. We should have this, waiting periods. It should be a waiting period because, like I said, if you're going out and you into something, you could be in the in the emotional part of it, in the heat of it, and you're going to buy this weapon and you're allowed to receive this weapon. But if it's a waiting period for when you to receive this weapon, sometimes you may say, what, I don't want that. That's too much for me. I don't want that type of weapon. I want a smaller weapon. Well, I want something else that I can use. I don't even want that weapon at all. It's giving that time to think, that time to resolve in your mind. Like I said before, it's a mindset. And we have to, have really change our mind. It shouldn't be just easy. Okay, I passed the background check, so now I'm gonna get an AK-47. Not only one, but I'm gonna get two AK-47s because I passed the background check. No, it should be a waiting time. And it should be established in the culture itself about gun safety. Everybody should be aware of gun safety. It should be a course that you go to through before you even start to pick up this gun to get this big rifle or this big automatic gun. It should be a course you had to take. Just and that course um, could be a course of prevention. It could be a course of having a change of mind, give you a more chance to think about, okay, why I'm really hitting this gun. Is this really safe? Do I really have the training that I need to operate this gun or to unload this gun or to shoot this gun? It should, it's just too easy now to go and get an assault weapon and not only destroy yourself but destroy everyone around you also. It's too easy. Reduce firearm access to youth and individuals who are at risk of harming themselves or others. We got an incident here where a young adult whose parent, who's a hunter, who went and purchased a gun for his child, not knowing what's going on at the school, and now you got several that are dead because of this lack of knowledge, this lack of training, this lack of way. It should be more ways that we can train and more waiting periods. It would have to be stricter on not only the ones that buying these guns, the parents that buying, but the ones that are selling these guns. We should have more stricter laws and more stricter fines, more stricter punishment that they will be able to take or be able to get while they're releasing these guns so easily out into the public, out into the neighborhoods, in the hands of people that have mental problems, of people who are going through things at high risk of emotional stress at that time and that are doing things. So if you give them a nice waiting period to where you be able to purchase a gun, even though you passed the background check, even though you went through everything you did, it's still a 2-3 week waiting period for you to purchase this gun, especially these high powered guns. Why do we need AK-47s and we're saying we're going to hunt? Who are we going to hunt? What are we going to hunt? If you're going to hunt a cow with an AK-47, you're not going to want to eat that cow after you put all that lead up in them. So we got to rethink things, and we got to hold these lawmakers, we got to hold these manufacturers accountable, hold their feet to the fire. That is not just easy. Every AK-47 ain't just been stolen out of the car. They got to the street. Some of them been purchased. So domestic violence, that's another way of gun violence. It's just talking about things, planning things, and it's a mindset. You got to have the mindset that we will and we are working together. That this weapon is not going to make us move forward. This weapon is against us. After we pull this weapon, use this weapon, there's no more us. There's no more tomorrow. There's no turning back. And this is something that we have to go forward with. We have to be more stricter on gun violence knowledge, on violent knowledge of guns. Just because a person just say, "Hey, I'm of legal age, I passed the background check," then I can get a gun. That's not true. It should be stricter. Should be more things that we can do to prevent that. And we also should hold them accountable for being negligent with leaving these guns in their cars, a visible site where someone could just walk by, bust in the window, take the gun, and then go commit crimes with these guns. I believe the gun owner also, just for their negligence, should be charged with that same charge as the one that's pulling the trigger, because they're just as guilty because they're accessory by leaving there like that. It should be more responsible. But it's time for another break. So I see you after this break, and we're gonna be right here and we're gonna hit it again strong. Thank you.
Need your garments cleaned with care and with a professional touch? Then bring them to One Price Cleaners in Garden City at the Old Farmers Market on Highway 80. Service you can count on.
It's Bishop Oliver again here talking about gun laws. Again, what I think is simply we need more education on these guns. We need more stiffer laws, not only for the ones that are buying the consumers, but also the retailers that are selling these guns, the manufacturers that are selling these guns. There should be more requirements. But the ERPO law, I think that's very good. The states that is in is Indiana and Connecticut. And both of these states, since getting this ERPO, the Screen Risk Protective Order, um, the gun violence has slowed down. It hadn't stopped, but it slowed down tremendously. And the ERPO, it gives you a chance to say, hey, look, I need my family member to think about what's going on. Think about what they're finna do. Go over there. I see they're stressing, and I see they're finna take extreme matters to do something that they may regret. And I really think Georgia need to get an ERPO. Uh, that way, that could be here in Georgia, because especially in Savannah, our murder rate has gone high. Is going higher, and we need to take other measures besides what we have in plan. I heard someone the other day say that we can't stop gun violence. Yeah, we can't stop gun violence, but we can slow it down. We can give other resolves to stopping gun violence, and we can hold more accountable in the gun violence. Um, we as a people have to work together to come up with solutions, uh, especially even if it's listening to our youth. I was at a rally not too long ago where youth was speaking, and they were speaking with power. They were speaking from experience, and it was making a lot of sense. Even in the world now, we're in a world now where video games is ruling, where we taking out, we send our boys in the room to play video games like Mortal Kombat all day. So that messes with your mental. That when you come out of from playing that game and you go out inside the real world, you think you can just walk around and shoot people and everything is gonna be all right. It's not gonna be all right. It's complicated. It's a lot comes out behind that. So if we can spend more time with our kids, you know, especially as a black race. We spend more time with our kids talking about gun violence, explaining to them what a gun is really for. It's for protection. if especially protection of the house. If someone's getting ready to try to come in the house, here's the gun. This is where we protect ourselves from them coming and entering and harming us. Not a way of life for you to walk around like a cowboy with a gun on the side of you. Now, anytime somebody make you angry, you know that you are gonna pull this gun and you go put an end to them. So what you're doing there is you prevent it end to them and also you and everybody, all the witnesses and stuff. That witnesses, you giving them a different kind of mental health. You're messing with their mental, where this is now going to be a way of living, not only in your household but other households. And now that child at a young age got to deal with this violence that they just saw from a young age of going forward. But we can prevent that, and how we prevent that is we talk about things. Now, I remember when I was growing up, we come to the table, we didn't have cell phones. Well, around the dinner table was a time when we talk about our day. How's your day? What you learned in school today? What went on in this and that? But now you see our families to the table and there's no conversation. Everybody texting, everybody on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Nobody's really speaking to each other about how's your day, what's going on. That's why this bullying thing has gotten outraged also, where kids are committing suicide because of bullying. Because they feel like, you can't tell nobody about you being bullied. And I know you're supposed to go and tell your teacher or tell your principal or tell your counselor and all that. But a lot of times, as I'm speaking with these kids, your teacher, your counselor, they're busy trying to do what they do, and they may tell somebody or they may get you help, but what if not? They're not going to be there with you on that school bus when you get off that school bus and Big John hitting you in the back of your head. So what you have to do is you have to educate your child on how to handle this situation without violence, how to stop them from going to violence, what is the resolve where we can come in between of us getting in an argument, of us getting in a disagreement and pulling out a weapon and then shooting somebody to death. We have to stop that. We have to go to a different resolve where we can talk things out. You gotta teach your kids on how to communicate. We got to be better communicators, and if we're better communicators, then we can stop and before it get too bad. We can come to a resolve. I know back in the days, some may say, "Hey, look, we could fight," and the next day we'll be friends again. But that generation, has slowly gone away. Now, if you get the best of someone in a fight or whatever, you got to watch out because they coming with a gun and they gonna take you out. So we got to get in there and cut that stigma out about, hey, my ego is bigger than your ego. I'm better than you, or I got something better than you. I can do you right now. We got to get out of that mentality. What I think is we got to have more community involvement, more community leaders, more people in the community that say, hey, look, I know what y'all got going on, but that ain't the way. This is the way. We got to take our communities back from all this different things that's walking in our community, allowing us to kill off ourselves. So back to about the gun owners and the consumers who are selling the guns. We got to insist on mandatory training and licensing for owners. This training should include requiring education to renew permits, with a graduating license. Not just to give them the license because you passed the background, you got the money to buy it, you're the legal age. We got to put more stigmas out there to say, hey, look, why or do you need this weapon? What do you need this weapon for? And teach them and say, hey, this is how we're going to allow you to use this weapon. This is the way of using this weapon. And if you can pass this course, then we allow you to get a weapon with a probationary period. You still should have a probationary period because, like I said, statistics is crazy about how many cars are getting broken in. Savannah is a visitor city, and a hosting city, and we have a lot of visitors come, and they park their cars downtown, and we got a problem with people breaking in cars. But still, if you have your gun in visible eyesight, that's easy access for them to break your window, get your gun, keep going. And next thing you know, you get a something in the mail say, hey, your gun has been used in a murder. I think you should be held accountable for that also. It shouldn't just, because we got to stop this. It's so easy for you to say, "Hey, look, my gun was stolen." Yeah, why your gun was stolen? How your gun was stolen? Why your gun wasn't with you? Georgia's a right to carry state. So why you didn't have your gun on you? Why you didn't have your gun put away, locked in a gun safe or something? Why you didn't protect your gun? Not only protect your gun at that time, you protecting someone else, from being an easy victim with your weapon. When be responsible by covering your gun, putting your gun up. Underlying contributors to gun violence, risk, and resilience. A public health approach to preventing gun violence expands solutions beyond gun access to reduce additional risk factors. Public health solutions recognize gun violence as a critical and preventable health problem. See, gun violence is the leading cause for premature death in this country. That means our kids are getting killed prematurely in this country. Yet, unlike other preventable causes of death, we haven't mustered the political will to address it. Gun violence is the most notable. Multiple people die at once, but it affects too many communities and families on a daily basis, whether through suicide, domestic violence, community violence, or other forms. And it don't, we all say it's a race thing, it's an age thing, but it's a sin thing. It's going on throughout the geographics, and patterns, and now not only are we doing it homicidally, but we're doing suicide. The suicide rate is high, especially against young adults. The mass shootings is now happening with teenagers, young adults. They have to be tried as adults in these mass shootings. This is, it's the rates are growing higher and higher. And what it is, the parents neglected to lock the gun up safely. The parents bought the gun and gave it to the child. The parent want to train the child how to go hunt, and release the child to have an assault rifle. And things happen at the school with this child. They don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to get out of the bullying, or they have a problem. And the first thing they do, oh, my parent taught me how to use a gun. I with my gun at that my parent bought me. They go home, they get the gun, come kill out not only one or two people, but three, four people, or even more. And now you got a shooting where parents had sent their kids to school to learn, and now you got to go see your kid at the morgue because someone got angry, and then the parents allowed them access to a weapon that can destroy many, many people. That's negligence, and that negligence need to be held accountable. Them parents that allowed their child to have that gun or to access that gun should be charged also. But we want to get, to a point where, they should be charged, but we want to get to a point where, this don't even be a conversation where, we educate our kids, we educate and we hold these gun buyers accountable to where, you say, you know what? I'm not gonna buy you this gun. You're not ready to have this gun. You might be of an age, but your mature level, I still can't give you this gun because I haven't educated you. I gotta educate you on this gun, just like they educated me, and they gonna hold me responsible if you was to go out and do something with this gun. So now I'm not just gonna let you have access to it like you want to have access to it. I'm gonna take some access away because now my freedom is online also. So we hold the parents accountable to having these guns. I believe that we will stop having so much of this gun violence, and not using the excuse that, hey, I bought my child this gun to go and hunt. It ain't my fault that they went to school and was hunting kids. I said that in a kind of sarcastic way, but it's realistic also. This is what's been going on. Where they say, hey, look, they wasn't supposed to go to school with a gun. They're supposed to wait till we go on our hunting trip. No, we're not even having a conversation. If this happened, you're going to jail also. That's what it should be. It shouldn't just be, slap on the wrist to say, hey, next time, explain it to your child. You should use the safety measures to measure this out. So that's what the ERPO is when it comes to fact to say, hey, look, Or you can say, hey, look, my husband, my wife bought my son a gun. He's underage, and I need you to come check this out. What are you going to? So the cops go come, they go show up, they go confiscate the guns. It's going to be 2 weeks in a trial. And when you're in trial, they go talk about, hey, what you need a gun for and everything they do. But we talked again for a little while, so we're going to go to break now. And after this break, I'll be back to wrap it up. Yes, yes. So we're back talking about trauma. Now we're going to change the trauma after gun violence have taken place. You heard me earlier speaking about the village, speaking about community awareness, community relations. These are all good tokens that what we can use in our community to reduce this gun violence. These are ways
I'm Patty Hewitt, and I'm worried about our future.
Last one?
I think about my grandkids and the belief that they deserve every opportunity. And what you deserve, what coastal Georgia deserves, is someone who cares more about their community than about corporate profits and big pharma.
I'll see you later.
All right, thank you. Small business owners and hardworking Georgians are the heart of our community.
Good day.
Not CEOs, not lobbyists, not shareholders. But who's taking care of them? It's time to ask yourself, what do you want from your government? This is our year to stand up against what we know is wrong. No more DC politicians invading our home life. No more racism that kills dreams and spreads violence, and no more corporate greed at the expense of workers' rights and our environment.
So what would be the most meaningful help to you?
I've spent the last 8 years working behind the scenes, mobilizing our communities for positive change. And while that is really important work, I can't stand by and allow the same tired politicians to run this country, the same ones who've neglected the real needs of Georgians. I'm ready to take our seat in Congress so I can fight for you and your families.
I vote for you.
Thank you, my darling. I love you. This isn't about party lines. This is about voting for a better future for more Georgians. Enough is enough.
Yes. And through community environment, community awareness, community prevention, we can build together. We can talk to our youth, talk to the young adults, can develop relationships on communication, uh, come up with different ideas and different things that works in our community to prevent the gun violence. We need a resolve before we get there. So I've dedicated my a great big of my life to coming up with ideas, researching different states to see what are they doing to prevent gun violence, because gun violence is everywhere and it's a problem everywhere. But different states have done different things to slow the gun violence down, to give different outings besides gun violence. Because when you pick that gun up and you use that gun, it's a destroying situation that's going on after that. So yes, our blueprint, our foundation is one, make sure that there are stiffer gun laws. Two, we will create an atmosphere where we will hold the consumers responsible. Three, we go make sure that there be a waiting time to receive a gun. We need to go through a course besides just anything besides just doing a criminal check background check. Criminal background check is good. It lets you know who's getting the gun, but uh, all criminals was not born criminals. All criminals didn't start being a criminal at that time, so it had to start somewhere. So let's not say, hey, just because we did a criminal background check, then we okay, yeah, you got someone who's not a felon that buys a gun, but as soon as they buy that gun and use it misappropriately, they're a felony. So we should, have more classes on, and more reasons. Hey, why do you get it? Why are you getting a gun? Are you getting a gun to protect your household? You getting a gun to, just have on you walk like a cowboy, walk around like you're a cowboy. You getting a gun to say, hey, look, I'm going to hunt. Yeah, and if there should be different courses, there should be different things you take. We got to definitely stiffen these laws up, not only for the ones that buying the gun, but the ones that are selling the guns also. It got to be more responsible. It be more responsibility behind just buying a gun. And I really think we should look at also, especially these assault rifles. I mean, if you buy an assault rifle, then your intent is not only to take one person out, your intent is to take a whole block out. And if someone breaking your house and you firing off a assault rifle, come on, that's not realistic. So we definitely should look at, why do you have to buy this particular weapon? Uh, and what are your certifications into buying an assault rifle? Anybody with the right age, don't have a felony, will be able to buy an assault rifle. I mean, that's inhumane. I don't think that's good. So we should have, more laws. We got to stiffen up some and hold people responsible before it get to the point where, hey, I bought it for my son to go hunting, and it wasn't my fault. He went inside the gun cabinet, got the gun, went and shot up students and stuff at the school. Even innocent people that didn't even have nothing to do with him, period, are getting shot. I really think that we must stiffen the gun laws and hold gun buyers more responsible. Because I say again, statistically, most of the weapons that are being seized are weapons that are coming from cars that were stolen out of cars that was left there unresponsibly. So we definitely gonna need to hold these gun owners much more responsible so they could be more reliable on locking away their gun more safely and saving lives by locking their guns away safely. So again, we come up to another commercial, and I will see you right after this commercial break to wrap up. Again, Bishop Jermaine Oliver here, and we're talking about gun laws and ways to prevent gun violence. Again, we came up with EXRPO POs. Uh, that's definitely a law that the authorities, once a family member or maybe someone who's witnessed a licensed carrier that are handling their guns irresponsibly, you can call the authorities to come and investigate, come and take this person guns away and weapons away, and they would have to go to a small trial to explain that how their behaviors are. They'll be assessed to make sure that their mental health and everything is good with them, um, and the other measures would take place. And I did research on it that the authorities can hold the guns up to a year uh, before they give them back. And this is not to disarm your home, but this is to have awareness to stop this gun violence, this senseless violence from moving forward. We definitely need a resolve, and a resolve is accountability. That's one way that I want to put it in, is holding people accountable, holding consumers accountable, holding gun owners accountable, and holding people accountable that you misappropriate the use of guns, that are out here just getting guns to shoot and kill. So if we work together in the effort to make these things happen, I believe it would be done. And a lot of good will come for us being more involved in the community, building that love back into the community, talking to not only our kids, but the young adults, each together and each other. Like I say, that village approach. We need to bring that village approach back where the community, everybody knows each other, and everybody's like family. And I believe once that happens, we'll be able to communicate, because there'll be a different resolve. But the thing is, now we've stopped talking to one another. We'll stop relying on one another, and we'll become not only helpers, one become enemies. It's like it's a selfish competition that's going on, and then there's a selfish ego that's coming up behind that. So where I got to take you out before you take me out mentality. If we can get rid of that mentality, and a lot of this gun violence will stop. Where we can come together and talk things out and come to a resolve. If we know how to communicate, if we can be more effective communicators, I believe this gun violence, we're a great big of it. We'll be able to stop. We'll be able to cease, because it'll be a slowdown, and we will all benefit from this if we can help one another, be helpers one to another. Iron sharpens iron.
Okay, here's what I found.